Hello everyone and welcome to PC Games on Consoles, where we take a look at games that are primarily PC games and find out how good they are on consoles. Now today we are taking a look at Doom, the 2016 variant of Doom. Now Doom is the PCiest of PC shooters, as it started life way back in 1993 and was responsible for the explosion in popularity of first-person shooters. Wasn't the first-person shooter, but it was the first sort of big hit for the first-person shooter genre. Doom 2016 is kind of a reboot of the franchise. I mean, Doom 3 did receive a kind of mixed reaction. A lot of people thought it wasn't a true sequel to Doom 2. Although Doom it's been on every single console since its release. The PC has always been the best way to experience Doom. So let's find out how the latest iteration stacks up on consoles then. Yes, it does. 60 FPS is the only way you can play a fast-paced shooter like Doom, as anything lower mean having to compromise the gameplay. So thankfully id made frame rate a top priority when they were developing the new id Tech 6 engine, which powers Doom 3. The engine is optimized around hitting 60 FPS, which it does manage to maintain most of the time. Okay, there are the odd dip here and there, but most of the time it does manage to maintain the 60 FPS target. As for resolution, both PS4 and Xbox One target 1080p, but they use dynamic resolution scaling. Whenever the action heats up and the engine is under stress, the engine prioritizes frame rate over resolution, so it will drop the resolution rather than the frame rate. Thankfully, it's not hugely noticeable during gameplay. Again, prioritizing the frame rate is the better option, as frame rate has more of a detrimental effect on gameplay than resolution. The PlayStation 4, however, does manage to stay at 1080p most of the time. The Xbox One version does see the most out of the downscaling. The Xbox One version does hit 1080p, but when the action heats up, you'll find that the Xbox One version will be the one that drops down most. It's not hugely noticeable. There's not a huge difference between them. As for PS4 Pro, well, there's no official PS4 Pro support. You can run the PS4 Pro in boost mode, which will give you a higher average frame rate. It gives you a more consistent frame rate. Again, there are still slight dips on the base PS4, but the PS4 Pro boost mode, I think you get a slightly higher average. It's going to stay at 60 FPS, certainly more often, give you a better average, and it'll probably stay at 1080p longer, I'm guessing, as well as before it invokes the dynamic resolution scaling. So Doom is certainly playable with a controller, but it isn't the best way of experiencing the game, as the fast-paced nature and the ability to switch weapons faster makes the mouse and keyboard the best choice. Weapon switching is done via a weapons wheel on the controller, and while this works well enough, the game does slow down as you bring up the weapon wheel, so you don't get killed halfway through bringing up the weapon wheel. And changing weapons, there's nothing better than just pressing the number key to change weapons. That was the old school way of doing it. And it is a lot faster. It keeps you in the action because there's that little, it's like a sort of slowdown. It's almost not quite a pause, but it's a kind of bullet time style slowdown that you get with it when you change weapons. If you bring up the weapon wheel, I prefer to just change weapons using the number keys. I think it's a lot easier. You memorize which ones do which weapon, and that's it, basically. It's a lot quicker than going through the wheel, I think. Right, so to show you that the mouse and keyboard is superior, try jumping, aiming, and shooting at the same time with the default controls on the controller. Now, there are sections in the game where you have to do that. And the mouse and keyboard, you use the WASD keys, W, A, S, and D, to move, spacebar to jump, and the mouse to aim. So you can jump, aim, and shoot at the same time quite easily on a PC. You can change targets in mid-air on PC. Now, the controller does have a lack of aim assist, which does make the game a bit harder. Does make it a bit harder. It's a non-issue on PC. So on the PC, you don't really find yourself struggling. Whereas I find myself losing a bit more health. I wasn't dying a lot on the console, but I found myself losing more health than I did on PC. Both versions I was playing on hurt me plenty, but I found myself struggling a little bit more on the PS4 is what I played it on. But yeah, it's a little bit harder. You just can't turn as fast and acquire targets as quickly as with the mouse and keyboard. Doom clearly is a PC game, given its fast-paced nature of Doom. And so yeah, you want mouse and keyboard, faster target acquiring, you can move and shoot, change weapons faster, but the controller is serviceable, I will say. It is certainly playable on a controller. So once again, if you have the choice of version, then I would get the PC version as it is the superior version. However, the console versions aren't bad. I mean, they're certainly usable. The decision to target 60 FPS is a good one, actually, and works out really well. The console versions are perfectly serviceable versions of Doom. They're not the best versions. Now, the PC version normally would have the advantage in terms of mods and things. However, Doom's mods work using the snap map system, which you'll find on the main menu. You can do it, you can make your own mods, you can make your own maps and make your own modes and things like that yourself. But you do have access to the community of snap map modes and mods regardless of your platform. You can make a snap map mod in the Xbox One version and make it available for the PC version. Apparently there is options there to make them cross-platform, which is good. So, you know, that's a good advantage for the console versions. You can play some of the mods that were created. Again, there's no official mod support. If you want mods in Doom, you have to use the snap map features, which again, some modders say is limiting, but you know, some people say it's a good thing because it keeps everything consistent across 3 platforms. So there's that advantage, I guess. The multiplayer I wouldn't bother with, to be honest. It kind of sucks. I never bothered playing it on PC. I guess there'll still be people playing it on console. I never bothered to check because I hated every minute of the multiplayer. It just is awful. Doom's multiplayer. I play it for the single player, and it's worth playing for the single player alone, I think. And if you want sort of, you can play, if you want some co-op multiplayer, then the snap map certainly offers you co-op modes and maps and things like that. If you want to play with friends, obviously they all have to have the same snap map downloaded, and I think they all have to be on the same platform, though there's no cross-platform gameplay going on there. You all have to be on Xbox Live or PlayStation or Steam, whatever your platform is. So there is that option there. Multiplayer, again, I wouldn't bother with, but overall, Doom was one of the best shooters of 2016. In fact, it's my favorite shooter in 2016, despite hating the multiplayer. But the single player was that good. Again, if you've got the choice, you can play with more than 60 FPS on PC. 1080p, I get 140 FPS on the GTX 1070. I think I get 100 FPS at 1440p, and I think we get 50 FPS at 4K on the GTX 1070. So you have to lower a few settings if you're going to get 4K at 60, but it is possible. And again, you get access to the Vulkan API, which again improves things quite nicely on PC. It turns Doom into quite an easy game to run on PC. The consoles, again, making good use of the new id Tech 6 engine. The only time you get a slight dip in frame rate is whenever you have a new level load in, whenever you've loaded into a new level. You also get issues with the texturing. It uses the mega texturing in id Tech 6. That returns from id Tech 5. Basically, it only loads the texture for what the player is looking at. So if you turn around too fast, you can sometimes catch the odd texture popping in. It's not a major issue, it doesn't really affect the game's performance, but sometimes it can happen. Seen it happen a few times on PS4. I haven't played the Xbox One version, so I can't confirm what it does on Xbox One. But you can kind of catch it out a little bit by turning a little bit too fast once the level's loaded. But again, minor issue, and it's perfectly playable. It is a playable, perfectly usable experience. If you owned Doom and you only had a console, I think you'd be satisfied with the results. But anyway, that is all for this video, so thank you for joining me. I think we'll take a look in our next video. I think we'll take a look at the original Doom. Let's take a look at 93's Doom. We'll take a look at that on the console. We'll take a look at it on current gen consoles. We're not going to look at it on every console because it'll probably take a year to do it, because the original Doom is available on practically every single console that was available since its release. But anyway, that is all for this video, so thank you for joining me, and we'll see you again soon, and goodbye.